am Dr. Soni Kumari from ABES Engineering College, Ghaziabad. Today I will be taking session on iterative statements that is a part of Unit 2. So let's start. In daily life, we always come across many situations when we tend to repeat the same thing again and again. So such type of situations where we are repeating the same set of thing again and again. So that will be handled with two types of loop or that are called iterative statements where we are repeating the same thing again and again. So such situations in Python or any programming language is handled with two types of loop. First is your for loop, while loop, and second is your for loop. So these are the loops which will help you to handle this such type of problem statements where we are repeating the same thing again and again. So in order to understand for loop better in Python, we must know about range function. So we will see that what is range function, what is the syntax of range function, and how it works. So range function works for loop with sequence. It provides you desired sequence. Like you can see here that how we write range function range RANG and this bracket parenthesis bracket. You should be careful while you're writing like what in Python, because Python is case sensitive. So we write in similar way like in a small RANGE. So we have to be careful in Python because Python is case sensitive. Now range function is built-in function in Python which gives the sequence of numbers. So built-in function is a function where you don't need to declare, define, and call. You just you can call it, or you can say you just use that built-in function in the syntax they are defined. So data built-in functions are the type of functions where you don't need to declare, define, you just need to call it, you just need to use it. Like for example, if you want the integers value from 1 to 10, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, then range will be useful options to work on this. We will see how this will be useful later on when we will be studying for loop in details. You will find that how range functions will be useful to work with sequence. Now this is syntax of a range function. First we write, you will write range, and then in parenthesis bracket, the first parameter will be start value, second will be stop value, and third will be step value. So you have to mind the sequence like first will always be your start value. Second will always be your stop value. And third will be your step value. The order should be same. It should not be like that first you will write step value, then start value. So you have to mind the order what you are writing when you are using range built-in function. First we will write start value from where you want to that your sequence should start, and stop value is like where you want that your sequence should stop, and step value is that how much step it should jump. Now you have to keep in mind, like if you are not writing a start value, if you are not mentioning a start value in range, then by default it will take 0 and it is optional. That means it is not necessary that you will always write a start value. It is optional. But if you don't write, it will take it as start value at 0. So if you want that start value should be 1, 2, in that case you have to mention like range that start value should be 2. But if you're not writing, it will by default take 0. The stop value is required. You need to write this. It is not optional. That means if you're not writing, if you are not writing, none of the default value will be taken. Like in case of start value, you show that if you are not mentioning start value, default value 0 will be taken. That means it will start from 0. But if you want that we should start from some particular value rather than 0, then you need to mention it. But in case of stop value, what happens? It is required. If you're not writing, no default value is there. And then we have step value, that how much steps you should jump. What I mean when I say jump, like first, if my first value is 1, then uh, if my second value is 2, that means step value is 1. If my first value is 1 and if my next value is 3, 1 second. Okay, I was saying that if my first value is 1 and second value is 3, then here step value is your 2. So step value is also your optional. That means if you are not writing, it will by default take 1. But if you want that your value should be step value should be 2, that means like you want that you should add uh, plus 2 to the previous value, then you need to write. By default, it is plus 1. That means plus 1 means like if you are starting from let's say 5. If you are starting from 5, then step value, if step value is 1, then it will write 6. Okay. So you should know that which are the optional and which are the required value. So we can see that start value and if step value is optional. And in case of optional, a start value will be 0 and step value will be it will be incremented by 1. But if you want that my value should start from 1 or 2 or any other thing, but not 0, then you need to mention start value. And in case of a step value, if you want that it should be incremented by 2 or 3, so you need to mention the step value, whereas stop value is required. So same thing has been explained here, like a start value is optional and by default it is 0 and a stop value is required, which indicates where to stop. And you should know this, that the stop value never included in range. It means it is excluded. For example, if I write range 1 and sorry, if I write 1 and 7, then in case what it will happen, like I have mentioned the starting value, that is 1, so 1 is included, so we will write 1. What value will be printed? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. 7 will not be included, so it is written here that a stop value never included. It is excluded. So it will print from 1 to 6. And you can see that I have not mentioned here step value. So by default, it will take 1 as a step value, and it will increase the value by 1, or you can see, in another words, it will add 1 to the previous number. So in case of a stop value, which is your required value, it is not optional. You should note that the stop value is not included. A step value is optional. By default, the step value is +1. A step values notifies the interval of values, or you can say how much it has to jump. Now, in the range function is called with one parameter only. This is considered as a stop value. Like I already explained you that we have three parameters with the range, but if there is one parameter only in range, that means it must be your, like I already told you that we have a start value, stop value, like this. I already explained you that we have a start value, stop value. One second. A stop value, and then a step. Okay, but if we are writing only one value, if we have only one parameter value, it must be stop, because a start value is your optional and your step value is also optional. So if any value is written inside the range, if there is only one value written inside the range, it means it must be stop value, and the start value will be taken as optional value as 0, and the value will be taken as 1. So now if we are writing range 5, that means it is your stop value, and I also explained you that the stop value is not included. Now, like, what is the typecast? Typecast is like we typecast that the data type, what data type of this range will be. Like here we have written list before range function. That means we are telling that whatever the values, whatever the sequence are, it will be in the form of list. So we are typecasting. So we are mentioning the data type, that what data type should be. Like here, if we have written list, this value is like, you can see that the value is inside the square bracket, and you must have studied in sequence in unit 1, when you must have studied the sequence data type, you must have studied about list tuple also. So what we are doing in this example, we are typecasting the range object into list. We are defining that this list range as a list data type. So it is the output will be in the form of, as the stop value is 5, so it will not be included, and we have not defined here start value and step value. So start value is 0 and the step value is +1. So it will start from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 will not be included. And this is will be list data type, and list is written in a square bracket. So if we would have written here, instead of list, we would have written like tuple, tuple range, sorry, range 5. In this case, what would happen? Same thing, but the output should be now in tuple form, like this. So here you can see when we are typecasting the range into list, the output is in the form of list, and we are typecasting the range in tuple, so the output is in the form of the tuple. So when we have range with one argument, it definitely means that they are mentioning stop value, and the default value of start value is 0 and default value of step value is 1 when we are writing only one argument with the range function. Now range with two arguments. So when we are having range with two arguments, that means we are having start value and stop value. And step value will be taken as +1 by default. So here you can see that we have start value as 1 and a stop value as 5. We have not mentioned here a step value, and after that we are typecasting that this should be list. So here it is starting from the 1, as we have mentioned that it should start from 1 because start value is 1, and we have not mentioned the step value. So here what will be done, by default value will be taken. And what is default value here? What is default value in the case of range? That is your +1, right? Your default value is +1. So it will be incremented by 1. So your output is 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, if the range function has three parameters, that is, of course, definitely your start value, stop value, and step value. Now, here you can see, that we are starting from 1, the stop value is 5, and step value is 2. As we have mentioned, so here step value. Now what happens, it is starting from 1 because we have told to start from 1, we have mentioned, and it is incrementing by 2. That means 2 is being added, so step value is your 2. So 2 is added. So 1 plus 2 is your next value is 3, and next plus 2 will be your 5. But a stop value is 5 only, and 5 stop value is never included. So the output will be 1 comma 3, and as it is list, so it is in the form of this. If it would have been in the form of tuples, so the output would have been of like this. We would have written like this: tuple range and 1 and 5. Then in this case, we would have this out. These are the references. Thank you for watching my video.